All right, so Crystal Palace once again showing that they're not afraid of the Giants. They took down Manchester City in the FA Cup final, and today they have taken down Liverpool, despite Liverpool, of course, having a lot of the ball as we expected. Stevie, as you said earlier on, Crystal Palace showing a very mature way of playing. All right, well, let's welcome in the rest of our teammates, shall we, who are out there at Wembley. Nedum Onuoha and Frank Leboeuf. Nedum, let me come to you first because, like I said, 3 months ago, we were there at Wembley watching Crystal Palace do what they do well, and that is be giant slayers. And here they've done it again today.
You see, Alexis, you didn't need to mention that game. Let's just talk about this one here today.
No, they took down City. I think we should remember they took down City in very spectacular fashion.
Old news. Let's talk about this game. I think what I would say in regards to how you've described it there, in that second half, the possession was nearly 50-50. I think the way that Palace have played today has shown a level of maturity, which maybe is a step on from last season. And I think at times, you know, when we saw them before the game, we thought, well, they've not really had any major signings and so on. Will they be struggling again? Well, not really. I think basically they went toe-to-toe with Liverpool today, and contrary to, say, that FA Cup final, it never felt like they were holding on. And that means they deserve a ton of credit. And for them to be winning this, I think you can make a good case that they deserved it. I think when you compare how well they played compared to what we sort of expected from Liverpool, I think it was a good game of football. But yeah, I think the bigger chances, the bigger moments ultimately rested with Crystal Palace. So, you know, I think they are deserving winners of the Community Shield.
Yeah, I really think that there was... I didn't hear everything you said because somebody was...
It's because you don't listen. It's because you don't listen. But carry on.
But I really think that the best team won overall. As you said, the maturity that Palace showed during that game, where they were patient, that they knew at some point they would get some chances to score, was exceptional. Everybody was spot on. But I would say that Liverpool were short on, I think, physically. They couldn't go up, they couldn't finish the job because they were maybe 1 week short physically talking.
Yeah.
So we'll see next week.
I think in reality, we had this conversation before the game. If you lose, you can say it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you win, as we've seen with Palace, this is their second major trophy in 100 and so years, however long it's been. But from a Liverpool perspective, yes, they have lost, but there have been some positives in there. I think Frimpong getting off the score sheet, said the fans get a chance to see their team play at Wembley, and I thought Ekitike did really well.
He did really well. He scored his first goal for his first game, and I talked to him after the game, and he said that he was very upset because he said they put us asleep. We couldn't react, and we fell into their trap and the way they play and how they know how to play. And it was the same with Manchester City for the FA Cup final. They couldn't react, and well done and hat off to Crystal Palace because they played chess and they won the game.
I think if you look at Frank's point about Liverpool being clearly not there physically, I think all you have to do is look at Virgil van Dijk. I mean, if ever you could see somebody wasn't quite 100%, it was his performance today. Not just the fact that he gave the penalty away and he made a bad decision, but everything he did was just a little off. You know, even simple passes, he was putting it on the wrong foot. It didn't have enough pace on it. These are all things that you do when you're not quite at it. You know, when you're at your best, when you're 100%, the whole picture is clear. And then you make decisions on a clear picture. When you're not 100% at it physically, the picture's not clear, and so sometimes you make decisions by gambling. And that's exactly what Van Dijk did with the second goal. He doesn't see the clear picture, he's not sure who's around, where his other defenders are, and so he gambles by stepping forward. That's why he does it, because the picture is not clear. And that's what happens when you're not 100% fit.
Well, Dana, what do you think of what Stevie has to say? Because, of course, he's saying we do see a little bit of preseason rust with a couple of the players. We're not going to punish them or judge their season based on what we see from Liverpool in today's Community Shield. But it's a trap that, as Frank said, we knew Crystal Palace was going to lay out. And you still expect Liverpool to be able to deal with that some way.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think in regards to, say, Van Dijk, we could probably make the same sort of point about Mo Salah today. When you think about how he's usually so involved with them in terms of how they attack and so on, he was quiet today. Yeah. And even the penalty itself, we're not used to seeing him miss penalties like that, if miss penalties at all. So I think that does make a difference. And I think for Palace, one thing that they're definitely going to be is fit. I think last year with Glasner, you hear the talk about it's all about sprint. It's the high-intensity running, like Munoz on that right-hand side, the distance that he covers, that they put you under pressure. So I think ultimately, for the way that Palace play, they do test you. And in these conditions here, maybe it suited them a bit more.
True.
And as well, from a Liverpool perspective, there's so many new faces who are on there, and they're trying to learn. Like for Van Dijk, maybe he's jumped out because he expected his left back to come inside. Well, this time it's Kirkez, and Kirkez maybe hasn't been doing that. Or maybe it was Robertson. Some of those relationships and timing, it's a little bit off, and it will get better. And I think it's fair to say that the best performances that teams put out very rarely comes at the start of August in any games that they play. So the rustiness is there, and it's just a shame that for all these other teams playing their last pre-season game, they can do it in a place which is safe. But to come here to Wembley and to lose and to see a team lift the trophy, you know, it feels like it matters that little bit more, which is a shame from them.
Well, let's get some more post-match reaction now. Both you and Stevie mentioned Virgil van Dijk. Well, he got to speak with our Beth Lindo.
Virgil, commiserations, obviously not the outcome that you wanted today, but still some important minutes in the legs ahead of the new season. How do you sum it all up?
Yeah, listen, obviously you want to win this game. It's a final, it's a trophy that we play for, and obviously it's that's the disappointing part of it. I think there are many good things in this game, but obviously there's also a lot of work to do still, and we have 5 more days to get them ready for the start of the Premier League, and that's what we have to do.
Yeah, it's obviously been a big summer in terms of big players leaving, big players coming in as well. How do you feel like the squad is shaping up ahead of the new season?
Very good. Obviously the players that come in bring quality to the team. Obviously it's for players that leaving, you know, obviously we wish them well in the next adventure, and that's how football sometimes works. But yeah, we'll have to just keep going and keep working, and yeah. Let's see. The real work starts obviously on Friday, and that's what we have to be ready for.
Yeah, and some positive moments as well for Hugo and for Jeremy, both getting the first goals for the club. How have they settled in? Because they seem to have taken to it.
Yeah, very good. Obviously, I think all the new boys, in my opinion, settled in quite nicely. Obviously, it's important when you come to a new club to be able to show yourself immediately, and you have to feel like you're welcomed. I think the boys are feeling just that.
And obviously it's still a couple of weeks to go to the end of the transfer window. From your perspective, how good a shape is this squad in going into the new season?
I think we have very good players. We have quality players. Obviously that's also a reason why we won the Premier League last year. But not only because of quality, but a lot of hard work, a lot of running and determination. And we have to obviously be ready on Friday to show that again and again and again. And that's what we aim for.
Just finally, obviously one of the reasons you wanted to stay here was to win more trophies. Do you feel like you're in a really strong position to go on and defend that Premier League title this season?
Well, obviously today we lost, so that's not a good start. But we'll have to take it game by game, and that's the mindset. That's always been the mindset for us. It's going to be a very intense season in all competitions, and we have to be ready to show our quality in that sense. And like I said, today there were good things, but there's obviously plenty of things that we have to improve, and we have to work on. And that's our plan now.
Well, Frank, what did you make of what Virgil van Dijk had to say there? As he said, not the best start, of course, with the loss today, but Liverpool do have something that's very strong, whether it was under Jurgen Klopp or Arne Slot, and that's their mindset.
Yeah. I can feel the disappointment, but I think it was very clear that he was very happy to have the new players. He was even wishing the best for the former one, the one we left. And I think he was having a captain, a skipper speech in a way that he knows that Liverpool didn't give the best game ever, and they are concerned about the result, because also you have to be professional. You have to understand people. They came over. Fans, they came over, like maybe 30, 40,000 fans from Liverpool came over. So you have to show your disappointment. You cannot show that it's not very important what happened today. It is important, but you have to erase that tomorrow. Starts, and as he said, we still have some work to do. We still want to go do better, and of course we're going to take game by game. I 100% agree with him. That's not a big deal. It's a deal. It's not good, but it's not a big deal. No, just see what's going on tomorrow.
I totally agree, Frank. And I think in regards to the way that he is a captain, he's understanding of the moment, as you've mentioned.
Sure.
But he's never too up and too down. I think he understands what it takes to win a Premier League season and to be successful, you know, to win a Champions League and so on. And so he's not going to be too flustered by it. Sure. I think there's a tendency when we're outside of that group to overreact to certain things. How did this person play? How did that person play? And so on and so forth. But as he said, the real business starts on Friday. playing against Bournemouth to open their Premier League season as champions. I think he will understand how difficult it will be to retain that title. And as I say, he's not going to be too up, not going to be too down. And when you've got leaders like that, I think you managed to speak to Ekitike. And what was he saying about the culture at the football club, for example?
No, he said that since in there, he feels a family. He said what it is with Liverpool. He said, I always heard about that, and Stevie mentioned that a lot. It's a special club. And he says, since I first came to the dressing room, I feel that I've been there for forever. And he said, I'm so upset because I wanted to get the first trophy. I wanted to get a silverware for the fans, for the club, for himself. So he's very upset. So he says he's hungry, so which is very good for the future.
Yeah, we do love to see that hunger. Although, Stevie, why are we making up your face with what Frank had to say? Ekitike is speaking wonderfully about your former club.
It was nice. It was the face of I understand exactly, and I think the way Virgil van Dijk handled that interview isn't a surprise, and you can see why the culture in the dressing room at Liverpool is the way it is. Because when the guy in charge, because he's pretty much the guy in charge, other than the manager, when he's as cool and calm, not flustered, understands it, is disappointed, all the things Frank said, when you are the guy in charge, you're going to pass all of that down to your soldiers, basically. And so now they're going to understand, yes, we're disappointed, but you know what? We know we need to get better. And the only way we get better is both individually and as a group and as a unit. And so, great interview, no surprise. There's a reason why he's captain Liverpool to Champions League and Premier Leagues.
Well, you have said it on the show all week that you're definitely not judging Liverpool based on what you saw today, but you are going to start judging them from what we see in their first
Correct.
3 games at least. And you said you would happily take a loss today if they win against Bournemouth on Friday.
Yes.
But I want to fast forward to that game against Newcastle as well as the game against Arsenal, Stevie.
Well, that's unfair because right now Newcastle shouldn't even be on Liverpool's radar. It may be on ours, and obviously we're looking at it from a guy called Isak.
Yep.
Just so happens to be at Newcastle. So yeah, that's a tester. I can't imagine he's going to have anything to do with the game because he clearly hasn't played any football. He hasn't trained properly. So even though that game is coming up pretty quick, because it's coming up pretty quick, I don't think Isak will be involved in it at all. I don't even think he'll be at the game. That's how I think he will definitely have to handle it that way.
All right, well, we cannot wait for those games indeed. But we've mentioned this a couple of times that Frank got to speak to Liverpool's new signing, Hugo Ekitike. He is Frank Leboeuf World Cup winner, in case anybody forgot. The man has friends in high places, and look at him. Hugs and all. Oh, my days, Frank. Tell us about that.
Oh,
you got a shirt too, Frank. A Liverpool shirt.
Yeah, Liverpool shirt. That will worth a lot, you know, with the first goal and everything. And yeah, I'm very happy, you know. I said to him, in fact, I'm sure you don't want to keep that shirt because you lost the game. And I say, can I have it? And he say, yeah, okay, I'll bring it to you. And he did it very nicely.
So
we had some talk. I said, no, but I told him, you see, you know, the first time that I played a community shield, because in fact it's a community shield, not a charity shield.
Of course.
The first time I played a community shield, I lost on penalties against Manchester United. And 4 years after, I won it against Manchester United. And I won 8 titles after that. So that's not the end of it. That's when I talked to him. I say, you score the first goal. It's going to give you confidence. So carry on and be happy to be there. Yeah, be unhappy to lose that game, but tomorrow, erase that. And we had a very nice talk together. And I also talked to Ibrahima Konate, him to congratulate him about his career and what he does with Liverpool and France. But I'm very happy for Hugo. I really hope he's going to score more goals, except against, of course, Chelsea.
The Frank Leboeuf Show, everybody. The Frank Leboeuf Show.
The Frank Leboeuf Show.
He nearly broke his arm patting himself on the back there.
Oh, Stevie, don't get me started. Ridiculous.
Nearly broke his arm, patting himself on the back there, just in case anybody forgot all of Frank Leboeuf's accolades. But listen, when a World Cup winner asks you for your shirt, by all means, give it. I'm glad we didn't play Ekitike, that clip of Frank criticizing his time at PSG, though. I'm not sure he would have given you his shirt there. But Nedum, you also have friends in high places, and your boy, Eberiche Eze, won. Yeah, he missed a penalty, but where's your free shirts?
Well, I think the difference is because he won, he wants to keep hold of his shirt. So respectfully, I'm not going to ask for it. Whereas Frank knows that Ekitike probably doesn't want that shirt, so it's easy to get hold of.
It's what I say. And you know what? I didn't criticize Hugo. No. I made a point of view which is absolutely different. And I told him, I said, it was very different for you. It was a unfair competition with Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe.
Anyway,
and you couldn't find your place.
Anyway, back to the original question.
He has no excuse.
Back to the original question.
Yeah.
Like, I think did you kiss just relax. Not yet.
Okay. Not
I
yet.
think when you talk about Eze in that game, I think you can see the maturity that he's shown across the years, and you can see why teams like Arsenal and others are so keen to bring him in.
Yeah.
Because his ability to he's working hard, but you can see his quality, like the ball that he played into the box, which could have been given as a penalty, the handball. He has an eye for a pass, and also you can't really get the ball away from him. And for me personally, to see how he's developed year in, year out, and the opportunity that he's getting, he's a star for this team. And yes, you want Palace to maybe buy more players and so on, and maybe he'll leave. But I think he's got another gear to find. And if he finds out whether it's in Europe with Palace or somewhere else, I'll be more than ready to watch it.
For the first time today, I can agree with you on that.
Boys, I guess I'm probably not alone here. Towards the end of the game, I'm watching this and I'm thinking, you know what? Eze deserves to be on a team that's actually going forward more. It's fantastic he has the work ethic along with the star quality that he will chase back and he will challenge and he will get in position. But the mere fact that he's not getting as much of the ball as he would if he was playing on a Liverpool or a Bayern or whoever, one of those teams, I think Eze has to go and get on a team that is challenging for the top awards, because he has too much ability. And as I said, it's great that he has the attitude to defend the way he does. But you know what? I want to see Eze up the other end. I want to see him dripping the shoulder and going inside the way he did today and getting opportunities to score goals, as opposed to, most of the game just working hard.
Yeah, well, if Crystal Palace against Liverpool wasn't big enough of a treat for you, guess who we got for you? Craig Burley himself, outside of
Mayor
studio.
of London is here.
Craig, I have heard that you have been kissing babies, you have been shaking hands, you have been hugging. I mean, it's a Craig Burley that we don't know. I don't think I've ever gotten a hug from you, Craig.
Have I got a twin?
No, you've been very social today. I saw you being very social.
Frank told me off at the start of the day. I was talking to a floor manager, Chuck Taylor, who is a friend of mine. We used to work with him, and I haven't seen him for years. And Frank sent me a text, said, "Shut up and get back out here and talk to me. I need somebody to talk to." So I was bumping into some old people. But I tell you what, I missed some of what you guys were saying during the game because we had some sound issues. It was a pretty good game today, was it not?
It was.
For a Community Shield. And, I know you're probably talking about Liverpool a lot, but kudos to Crystal Palace. What a good, solid side.
Yep.
We said that already.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm just repeating. I think if there's not more evidence that you have to back your manager, if Eze goes, if Wharton goes, if Mark Gay goes, what's that saying to Oliver Glasner? Because what he's done in his period here on a wafer-thin budget is quite incredible. I mean, that front three, if you've got some solidity behind you and a good back three, good wing-backs, what Sarr and Eze and Mateta can bring is, and I said in the commentary, if they don't sell those players, they're going to be a threat. They're not going to win the league, don't get me wrong, but they're going to be a threat to every team in the Premier League, home and away.
Of course, on top of it, they will have the confidence for that. And they know, now they know that they can beat Manchester City or draw against Manchester City or beat Manchester City or draw against Liverpool and beat on penalties. It's going to bring a lot of confidence. It's going to be very hard to play Crystal Palace this season.
But what did you think, and I was saying that again, what did you think, one of the things during the game for me, the small things, was where Liverpool are going to have to really work on with the new players. You guys have talked about it. Stevie, defender, Nedum defender, Frank defender. What about this sort of partnership today?
I think it's tough to read today in some ways, because when the season starts, we'll probably see Gravenberch in there. We'll probably see McAllister be there in the midfield. And all of a sudden, you see more familiar faces who did them so well last season. Because I think the talk about Al Frimpong's going to fit in, Kirkes and so on, that type of stuff might take time in terms of the attack. but Liverpool being solid through the middle is going to be a big deal, because as we saw with that second goal today, all of a sudden, why are Liverpool giving up so many big chances, especially in transition? Well, maybe it's because it's not the personnel that he wants to pick for the majority of the games that they'll play this season. So it's tough because I don't want to overreact to it.
Look, in the middle of the park, you have Slobozai and George today. It would be likely McAllister and Gravenberg.
Yeah.
So it's going to be already different.
I was more. Oh yeah, the midfield's going to change. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And you know, Szoboszlai wasn't great today. He scored a great penalty.
Yeah.
He wasn't great.
No.
He could be the guy to miss out. I mean, he's the captain of Hungary.
Yes.
He was a big sign. He could be the guy, and probably is going to be the guy to miss out. Gravenberg, McAllister, Wirtz. What was interesting to me, and it's a big step up for Bournemouth, and he's a very good player, Kerkez, and I know Stevie really likes him. Was in the first half there was 2 or 3 easy long diagonals that they got out to Munoz, and he, to my memory, he tucked so far in that it was such an easy ball to play. And then you take the second, the equaliser, he was the opposite. And I know it wasn't really his fault because the ball got won back and it wasn't a foul. But he was away out on the left, and then Van Dijk steps up. So it was kind of, for Arne Slot, it was kind of some bad decisions today. Go home, watch the video, go right. That's what we need to work on if we're going to be better. Steve
was mentioning the fact that when you are physically not at 100%, you maybe turned up like, I don't know, 1/10 of a second too late. It's what happened on Van Dijk. It can happen on Kerkers. I think those players are not ready physically, and it's why maybe they were sometimes short in action.
Yeah, but what I didn't get with Van Dijk, and you see it, and Stevie, I heard Stevie say, look, you're not going to see this too often from Van Dijk.
Yes.
But it was interesting how when that ball broke, his first thought, I think, was to go to Mateta. And, you know, as a defender, you'd be looking at him to your side going, right, where's the danger? It's not really. And once he stepped out there was a huge space, which Palace took brilliantly. I mean, kudos to them. But I think for Liverpool, obviously they're favourites for this season. And I'm not reading it just in today.
Are you sure?
Maybe it's not going to be quite as simplistic as we thought.
Of course not.
Yeah, I would totally agree. And I think that's the thing. When the signings were coming in, and also this sort of like Isaac cloud as well.
Yeah.
You can see how on paper they're going to have a really good-looking team. Because we're looking at, say, how Kerkez was for Bournemouth, looking at how Frimpong was for Leverkusen. But now, as you've said, you're going to put that into this Liverpool side. And Van Dijk, for the last 5 years or so, has had Robertson or Tsimikas to the side of him. He knows exactly what they're going to do. On the other side, you know, whether it's Conor Bradley for the last 2 years or Alexander-Arnold, you know exactly what it's going to be like. And I think the test today was coming against the Palace side. You know exactly what everyone's going to do because it's the same team that played the majority of last season. And those relationships, as you've mentioned, that's what's going to define it, isn't it?
What did you think of Ekitike? I know he had his struggles in France. He's a young player, struggled in France. He really gained his confidence when he went to Eintracht Frankfurt, didn't he? And we saw glimpses of that today. It wasn't just his goal, but
the link-up play. Huh? The link-up play was all right, wasn't it?
When the ball was coming up and you got a big centre-half behind you and he's flicking it around the corner. He did that 3 or 4 times. I was like, wow, I didn't think you had that in your game, you know?
No, I was very impressed, especially the first half. And when, in fact, we were saying that when he left, when he was substituted, Nedum was mentioning to me that the game was different for Liverpool. So maybe there is a reason why. I got the shirt. So I have to say good things. No, but it's true that he had a very good first game. And oh my God.
Hold on. Have you been kissing backside when I've not been here?
I didn't need to.
What's going on?
I don't need to.
Did he run over and go, Alexis, did he run over and go, Frank Leboeuf, World Cup winner, have my shirt?
Absolutely
Please
did.
have my shirt.
He absolutely did, and he got a shirtless hug from Ekitike. Look at the video here, of course. Oh, and a nice little face touch. Oh, my days. That is almost, I'm not sure which one was more loving, that or Nedum's 15-minute embrace with Eberechi Eze back in May. But
they're all gone soft.
They've all gone soft.
All gone soft.
Do you know what's happened here? Do you know what's happened here? He's come over and he's given Frank a hug, and then he walks off and he's gone, who's that guy?
You got me, Frank.
Craig, did nobody give you a shirt?
Him. No, you may have noticed I was doing the
nobody wants to give a
commentary.
shirt to Craig Burley. The guy is not happy about everything. So, but don't worry. I feel people being envious around me right now. So I'm okay. I'll go a step forward, and I forget about that.
Sure.
I don't care.
Frank.
You know what was interesting, though?
Stevie.
Go ahead, Craig.
Sorry, Sorry, there's a little bit of a delay here, so sorry for butting in. Stevie, what about what we've been talking about? I know I heard you talking a little bit about the back four, and you know, it is a work in progress when you sign new players. But Kerkez's positioning today, I mean, obviously there's a much different scenario playing for Liverpool week out, week in, week out, playing alongside the Van Dijks and the Konatés than there is playing at Bournemouth. So he's going to have to figure that out very quickly, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's got to figure out what Liverpool are comfortable with, what Bournemouth were comfortable with him doing positionally. You know, he could have been told at Bournemouth, I don't care, you stay out wide, man, the other defenders will sort that out, because when we get it, I want you going forward. That's a different scenario probably at Liverpool. And I think part of the problem today was that because Van Dijk's struggling a little, then he's putting more time into what he's doing as opposed to what he probably should be doing more of early doors, is getting Kerkez in either tighter or wider, depending on the situation. And so if there's no communication between Kerkez and Van Dijk, then it's really tough to blame Kerkez because he's not used to being in a certain place with that back four. So again, to me, a lot of it is down to Van Dijk. And I spoke about the second goal, Craig, when you're playing the way he was playing, you don't see things clearly. And when you don't see things clearly, it then makes it hard to help somebody else as well at the same time. So I think a lot of this was to do with Van Dijk's own personal game today. And it's going to take time for Kerkez to figure out how wide or how tight he should be. And the only way to do that is either games or on the training field.
Well, one thing that I definitely want to go back to...
I have a question. Sorry. Oh, sorry, Alexis. I just wanted to make sure, because we didn't hear the name of the player that Stevie was mentioning just right now.
Don't go back there.
Don't go back there. Kerkez.
That's what I said, wasn't it?
That's what you said, Steve? Oh, okay. No, so it's Kerkez. Just because
Well,
he was teasing you. He was teasing you. He don't want to say it, but he was teasing you. So what did he say, Kerkez?
Do you know what's interesting, though? Ever since Craig came into the shot, Nedum and Frank have moved further and further away, close to each other. There's almost like there was, at one point, there was like a gulf between them. Guys, Craig doesn't bite that much.
I think Frank's looking for another hug. I think he's looking for a hug from Nedum, really.
Do you have a shirt?
I think he's
no,
looking
keep it on. Keep that shirt on. Don't take it off.
Okay. No.
But
Later.
Funny enough, Nedum, I wanted to come to you on something because it was a conversation we were having about Eberiche Eze that Stevie was talking about, and just feeling like how he would be probably, with his skill and his talent and what he can do, maybe better suited in a team that's going forward a lot more than Crystal Palace are doing now. And we know that he has been linked with other teams such as Arsenal. Is that somewhere you'd like to see your boy go? Do you think that should happen?
Should is maybe not the right word, but I think it's definitely something that he's capable of doing and thriving.
Oh, no doubt.
You know what I mean? Like, you can see, I think sometimes you see some players play at a lower level but show you things that show they can be at a higher one. And I think one thing for sure is the fact that he's very coachable, but he has a very unique eye in terms of how he plays the game. His skill set as well makes him feel really unique, because as you look around the league, for all the quality that's there, how many players can you name that play like him? And the answer is not many, if any at all. So add that to a team like an Arsenal, you know, potentially like a progressive Spurs or so on. You've got a player who's already an England international who can be a game changer in certain moments at that level. Yes, of course, he can be somebody that's going to be competing for titles on a year in, year out basis. So I've got no issues whatsoever. And I think, if anything, one thing to keep an eye on is the fact that he's not the youngest player in the world here. And some of these opportunities that come, at some point, if you don't take one, will it come back again? And I know Palace would love to keep him. He's been the star for the last few years. But I would also like to see him playing, say, for example, in the Champions League, instead of this flip of a coin. Is it Europa League? Is it Conference League, for example? The situation that Palace find themselves in at this moment in time.
Right, well, before anyone else chimes in, I've just been told that Frank Leboeuf has a first-class seat on a train that he needs to catch, so he actually can't hang out with us anymore. Come on, Frank. A day rate means a day.
Alexis, you're not there anymore. What's the point to stay here? You know, you left us for Stevie, so I just have to go back to France. That's it.
I might try that trick. I'll get a train. Yeah, half a go. It's half a job. Well, I tell you what, when you send your invoice in, make sure you send it in for 75% of the show. Not 100. I've never heard heard that one before, live TV.
I'm only paid for 50% of the show.
You know we're doing a game at Wembley. You know when the game finishes, you book the train accordingly.
Yeah, but the thing is, if I stay longer, I will have to stay one night, and ESPN will have to pay for that hotel. So it's why.
The thought of seeing you in London again tonight, now you can go.
Okay, you see now?
We'll let you go, Frank. Thank you so much for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure.
No, wait.
Thank you.
When the producer came on, and by the way, the producer's blown my ears out. Well, when he came on and he said, we've got to go back to Alexis, I thought we'd got some big interview. I thought, oh my God, we've got Virgil van Dijk, or we've got an interview. Not Frank's train.
I have to go, shut up.
Alas. Alas.
He's been so
do the
social
two.
today.
Do the two kiss. I love Overseas Craig. Overseas Craig is amazing.
No.
No,
I know.
he doesn't feel good right now.
Well, hold on. What, American Craig's not amazing?
American Craig is
Hold on.
lovely on certain days, but Overseas Craig is just. Frank has to go, so we're gonna let Frank go. Frank, you could go. You could put the mic down.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Frank.
Go on,
Thank
Frank,
you.
sod off.
Stevie,
No, go.
Stevie, what did you make of what
Sod
Nedum
off.
had to say about Eberechi Eze?
Yeah, I think, listen, as great as he's been for Palace, and obviously Palace, particularly Craig talking about Oliver Glasner, you know, keeping players and bringing more in. When you have the talent that Eze's got, the older you get, the quicker it disappears. And he's no spring chicken, let's be honest. And so for me, right now is the time for him to go and join a big club, a big team that is going to be challenging for the biggest prizes, because that's how good he can be. And right now, unfortunately, I think the talent he has is getting a little wasted at Crystal Palace.
Oh, well, we might want to remind everybody that ESPN FC is presented by Xfinity. The Wi-Fi is booming. And despite what Stevie just said, we can have a look at Crystal Palace, who are the Community Shield winners in their first ever appearance. It's the first time winner of the Community Shield since Aston Villa back in 1981, and only the second club outside of the Premier League Big Six to win the Community Shield in the last 29 years, and the first since Leicester City back in 2021. Well, here is US men's national team player Chris Richards.
Chris, massive congratulations. Obviously, another really special Wembley day for you and for your fans. How do you sum it all up?
Yeah, it was a tough day, but it was really good of the team to come back from being down twice, and even though it's preseason per se, it was always good to come out here and get a win and win another trophy.
And your manager said in the build-up to this game that you guys were the underdogs, but that you never feel like there's any team that can get the better of you. You feel like you can always beat anyone, no matter who you're facing. Do you feel like that? Do you feel like there's a real sense within this group that they can go on and do special things?
Definitely, I think especially on the tail end of last year, we had a lot of big performances, and I feel like if we're on our game, I think it'll be really tough for any team in the world to play against us. So I think we showed it today. I think we showed it in the FA Cup final, but regardless, I think we want to bring the same mentality into the season this year. Yeah, and one big thing this summer is you've managed to keep a lot of the squad together. How important has that been, keeping the same group around the place and being able to build on what you did last season? No, it's amazing. Like you said, we had a great end of the season last year, and being able to build on that going into this season, also adding a few new faces, but guys who are fully bought in. I think it was a credit to the management here. But again, it's always good to kind of keep the same squad, the same faces. Everybody knows each other, so it's just a big family. Yeah, and for yourself personally, obviously a big year, World Cup year coming up as well. So how do you feel in yourself? Do you feel like you're ready and in prime condition to go again this season? Yeah, and I think I need a little bit more fitness. Still need some more legs, but I'm really excited for this World Cup coming up. Hopefully I can keep playing well, and like I said, keep getting fit every day, and hopefully by summertime next year I'll be ready to go. And just finally, obviously a special day, the second special day in a matter of months. Do these occasions really make you hungry for more days like this, and to make sure Crystal Palace this becomes a regular thing now going forward? Definitely. I think last year we kind of set the baseline for what's to come, and we want to be playing at Wembley every year. We want to be playing in finals every year. So I think last year was just still the first taste of it, and hopefully we can kind of set that standard for Palace for the years to come and continue to win more trophies.
All right, guys. Well, I hear that Craig is going to take Nedum out on a night out in London town, something I was not able to do in my 6 years in London before moving back here. So final thoughts on
Alexis.
the game, Craig.
Well, final thoughts, what goes through your head sometimes, I'm not quite sure. Taking taking Nedum out in London. I mean, come on, look at us. You know, we're too old for all that.
100%.
Super impressed by Palace, but as Stevie, I think, mentioned earlier, they're not a work in progress. They're about hanging on to the best players, and you can see they all know each other's games. So for them, it's quite simple. It's hanging on to their key stars. There's a big doubt whether that's going to happen. I think for Liverpool, I think things will be fine. But if I was Arsenal watching today's game, I'd be relatively comfortable that our recruitment's been good. If we're thinking Arsenal are the main challengers, and maybe City and maybe Chelsea, that changing the old guard, the Alexander-Arnold and the Robertson, I couldn't even remember my fellow countryman's name there, Andy Robertson, it's sort of changing the old guard sometimes can be a little more difficult than you think. So we're just watching Arne Slot. He's about 15 yards from us getting interviewed. So it's going to be a little bit of thinking for him about where he goes, how he integrates these new players, and how he gets this defensive unit to be good enough to be Premier League champions again. And I think after today, there are one or two questions.
For sure, yeah. And do you know the 15 yards? I'd probably say it's 10. You know, Liverpool, best club in the world, best team, best manager, everything. There's nothing wrong at all. Just in case, no, I'm joking. I think in regards to the way that this game went today, I think you saw two sides to this coin, because you saw a Palace side who haven't had a ton of new signings.
Yep.
Obviously, Sosa came on, tried to make a difference and so on. But you knew how they were going to play, because we've seen it so many times before. Whereas for Liverpool, the eyes were on those new faces. It was on a Kirkes, it was on a Frimpong, it was on a Wirtz, it was on an Ekitike. And you're wondering how are they going to integrate. So I think for Palace, as Chris Richards was saying, you know that they've set the baseline for themselves for last year. What they believe in is they can be in more finals, they can be competitive, and we know they'll be in Europe. Obviously, we don't know which side of that competition draw they'll be in. But for Liverpool, you know they have the quality. But now it's going to be down to the coach to be able to mesh it all together. Because as Craig said, change is here, change is coming. But can they maintain their success whilst going through all these processes?
Stevie, final thoughts on the game?
As always, the game's not played on paper. It's played on the grass. And we can think what we all like to think is going to happen, and we can see all the positives. But when the whistle goes and the game starts, you find out exactly where you are. And today is going to be, in the long run, good for Liverpool and Arne Slot, because they found out exactly where they are today. They found out how far they are away from being the finished article, because what they were playing against is the finished article. So in some ways it's good. In other ways they'll be going home, particularly Slot, thinking, what's the most important thing I need to work on? Because there's quite a few things that they need to work on. But in some ways, again, it's a kick up the backside. And as I said, the most important thing is you have to do it on the field. On paper and in your head, it's a different ball game.
All right, nice little reality check then for you boys.
Yep.
And of course, Crystal Palace with some more.